back to the channel, guys. Today I'll be playing some more ARK Survival Evolved. This time I'll be playing online on a PVE server. So playing at a resolution of 3840 by 2160 using the Epic preset. As you can see, anti-aliasing is grayed out because I'm also using DLSS. So using DLSS at the balance setting this time. Usually I use quality, but I want to try out balance just to see if I can just get a bit more stable performance, as this game is demanding beyond reason. Now, if you're wondering what that heavy breathing is, I'm just about to finish taming up a male wild pteranodon. And this is of course a flying dino, so this will help me get around the island a lot easier. So it's around 98.3% tamed, literally just a few more minutes. And that dino will be tamed and it'll be under my command at this point. I see another pteranodon in the distance. It's only level 10, which is pretty much trash, so I might as well just kill it and harvest its body for meat and try and get some resources from it. One more shot should do it. Level 10, it isn't really got too much HP, so you can then just carve it up really for its resources. So I'm finally able to get onto a server. I've been waiting a long time, but it seems that the servers are less full up now. So okay, my tame's complete. I'm just name this. Call it Razor Wing. Okay, so ended up being level 96 after it was tamed, so still quite a low level, but decent enough for me to get around on. Just equip the saddle and I should just be able to fly around. I'm also going to make myself as light as possible, so I'm just drop some of these extra resources I'm carrying. So I don't need to carry around too much wood, too much stone. Those are heavy resources. And I can finally fly around. So Pteranodon's pretty much the first flying dino that you can tame. Pretty quick, but it just has terrible carrying weight and doesn't have the best stamina. But it will get you around pretty quickly. So this is my base that I've pretty much set up since I joined this server. So this is player versus environment, so you don't necessarily have to worry about other players. But you do need to worry about just surviving, protecting your dinos and things like that. So, because it's a living world, so when you first tame a dino, it will follow you everywhere you go. So I have to let it know not to follow me. I forgot to do that. So yeah, this is pretty much my base. Got all of the basics: campfire, mortar and pestle, storage, smith bench, and somewhere to sleep. So it does what it needs to do. I'll expand on this in the future. Even when you start on one of these servers, just finding somewhere that you can actually build can be quite challenging because everyone loves to claim land. You will even kind of fly around the island and there'll be like pillars and posts and ladders everywhere. People claiming land so you can't build, which is a little bit annoying. But it wasn't too hard to find somewhere to build, which is nice because this server is a European server, so it's a European PVE server. Island server. It's got about say about 54 to 60 players most of the time, so it's half the way full, and 70 people is the maximum. And this is server 5433. If you want to join in, you may be able to just randomly bump into each other while playing. But yeah, it's so much easier to get around now that I've got a flying dino. Even then, RTX 4090 and i9 3900K still can't maintain 60 FPS even at the balanced preset with frame generation on and DLSS upscaling. So again, this game is really demanding beyond reason, it has to be said. It doesn't use too much VRAM though. It allocates around 14 GB, but it uses a little bit less than that, so that's probably the only good thing in terms of performance I can say. But the game looks considerably better. Way better than the original. and it almost so much so that the island actually almost feels completely different. You feel so much more immersed while you're on foot, just wading through the jungle, because it just feels a lot more living. So around here usually you find metal deposits, but because as you can see there's loads of foundations placed by other players, it stops the spawn points from spawning. So if you find a resource deposit and you build next to it, once someone depletes that resource it will never replenish, which is unfortunate because this island's the closest island where you can get metal and crystal, and someone's put pillars everywhere to claim the land. They haven't even built anything yet, but they're just claiming the land, which is annoying, but that's just part of playing online. Or Dilophosaurus here. I'm just going to take it out. I'm a lot more confident fighting enemies on foot because I've got flak armor now and I've got a metal spear, a metal pike, so I'm a lot stronger than before. So I can hold my own even against bigger dinos now. I don't have to run away. For those who watch my original video, I couldn't even take on a baryonyx, which isn't the most aggressive. It's gonna pump weight because it's still quite a low level. So I'm gonna focus on weight for now, so I can actually carry stuff. But I'm gonna go looking around for more iron deposits or metal deposits because someone's put too many foundations down. Those resources are not going to spawn back, unfortunately. There are some more nearby, but you just gotta look around. You can see a big Cantosaurus over there. Trying to see what level it is before I take it on, but the spyglass has always been a little bit dodgy in terms of when you're on the back of a dino. It's always kind of hard to lock on. That's level 50. I do fancy my chances of taking this down, so I'm gonna try and take it out because it will give you decent experience. I'm still trying to level up so I can unlock more skills. So any chance I get to kill a carnivore, I always take it. So it's over there feasting on one of its kills. Got me to deal with now. I'm going to try and stay behind its hind leg. Stay out the way of its bite. Nice and easy. I even got a level up for doing that. It'll take all of its resources. Oh man. That's the thing about these little dinosaurs. They don't look like much, but they're pretty aggressive. And they're called Troodon. They've got a bite that will actually render you unconscious, so I want to get out of here. If it was just one, I would have took it down, but 3 of them, that's bad news. So I'm just going to take my flying dino and get out of here. Get to safety. And there was actually some metal deposits down there, but I'm not going to risk dying by Troodon bite just to get them. So let me just level up and I'll go looking around. So I want to go looking. If I remember correctly, there are some more explorer notes around here somewhere. So what the explorer notes are, it's like almost a bit of the storyline that gets explained to you. So you might find information on a dino, and opening that explorer note gives you like an XP buff. There's a really good way of leveling up quickly, but you just need to know where they are. But I remember where most of them are, but because the game's changed so much, it's hard to always find everything again because some things are in different locations. So you can see one over here. anytime you see these types of ruins, usually find explorer notes.
Fairly unremarkable by the island standards, Oncorhynchus grexlamia is a generally passive fish. Its main form of protection is swimming in a large school. Oncorhynchus does not like conflict, and generally swims away from anything larger than itself at very high speeds. Once provoked, however, Oncorhynchus becomes quite aggressive, along with its nearby brethren. It locks onto its prey with its long saber teeth and begins draining the creature's blood. This loss of blood is not too dangerous alone, but when a school of Oncorhynchus attack at once, their target quickly loses speed and stamina from blood loss, drowning if it cannot breathe underwater. Like many of the smaller fish found on or around the island, Oncorhynchus cannot be tamed, but it is often herded and harvested for its resources. In particular, certain cuts of Oncorhynchus meat are considered to have superb quality, and are often referred to as prime fish, used for specific high-end concoctions and taming the island's many piscivorous creatures.
So yeah, it's nice that they've got some narrator now to explain all of the explorer notes. This isn't something exclusive to ARK Survival Ascended. This was also in ARK Survival Evolved towards the later stages, but if you were playing the game originally, this never used to happen. So it's actually nice to hear some narration. I'm just going to pump my fortitude because you need to be able to withstand the elements. For example, when you're wearing flak armor, you get hot most of the time if you're in a warm part of the island. And also, fortitude also helps with poisons and your torpor resistance. So if you, for example, a Troodon bite would usually knock you out. Maybe 1 or 2 bites would be enough. But if you pump your fortitude, you'd be a lot more resistant to those kind of venomous bites that render you unconscious. So it is useful. Titanabo as well, one of the big snakes on the island, will knock you out pretty much within 2 bites. So these things sneak up on you as well, so it's always good to have decent defense against it. So I'm going back here just to double check if there's going to be any more spawns, because every now and then resources will spawn back, but you just got to double check. I'm just worried about the amount of... Okay, so there is one deposit here which has iron in it, so this should be enough for my needs. All I want to do is make the rest of this flak armor. I'm still missing the boots, the gauntlets and the helm as well, so I'm going to need to grab this metal, this raw metal, and then you can melt it down in your forge into iron ingots, and then you can use that material to make the rest of your armor. So resourcing farming is very, very important on this game. So I was able to get 54 raw metal. Just going to dump all this stone so I'm hopefully light enough to fly. So even though my Pteranodon's quite low level, it's still just about got enough weight to do some small item carrying. So I'm just going to head back to base now. So when you're high up in the clouds, things do get pretty misty, so if you want things to clear up, it's just best to drop down and then stay out of the clouds, because the volumetric clouds, as good as they look, they can harm your visibility. Just going to get some rest here. My Pteranodon on such a low level, you do need to take breaks every now and then. You can see someone's putting together a nice base here. They got it all kind of figured out in like the cheap materials, so they've done it all in thatch, so when they got everything right, they'll upgrade it to wood, stone, or even metal, depending on how far they wanna do it. You can see someone else over here as well. So you do run into players often, and man, I was trying to wave, but he's already gone. So this isn't player versus player, so you don't need to worry about running into other players, but it's good to be social because everyone likes to trade, help each other out, maybe even become form an alliance so you can take down bosses together and things like that. So it's good to try to get to know the other players that you're playing with. And generally most people are quite polite, but you do get a few people that make trouble. But if you pay attention to the chat, people will let you know who to kind of avoid. So still pumping weight. My Pteranodon's such a low level, but eventually it will get to a level where it's actually quite useful to me. So I've got all the metal now. I can just put this in the forge and get this melted down. I've got no wood, so I need to get some wood for the furnace. But you have to admit the game looks considerably better now. It just feels so much more alive and immersive. Very, very demanding, of course, sub 60 FPS experience right now, but hopefully they can optimize things a little bit better. I mean, it's going to be another 2 years before I can brute force this game with my RTX 5090 when it releases, but for now I have to deal with just playing with what I've got, and even some of the best hardware available is still not good enough to run this game at maximum quality. So it goes to show you just how unoptimized the game is, and ambitious as well, because the game does use Lumen and it's a really open world. So imagine adding software ray tracing to an open world. You can tell it's going to be really demanding. So I understand why it's demanding, but it's a little bit more demanding than it needs to be, in my opinion. It's a little bit beyond reason. So I've noticed that my steps are still wooden, so I want to upgrade these to stone. So I just need to gather a bit of stone right now, because you can build your base in like 5 different materials on this game. Thatch is the beginner, then it goes to wood, then it goes to stone, then it goes to metal, and then you get the alien, or the most durable kind of material, which is called element on this game. And it's not just for aesthetics, so the more durable it is, the longer it lasts on the server. So if you build something in Thatch and don't play the game for maybe 4 days, if you don't go on the server for 4 days, your actual base will start to erode and disappear. So if you build your base with something that's durable, like stone or metal, you can not play or not even log in for like 2 weeks and it will still be there, it will still be fine. So you got to consider these things. Okay, that should be enough stone for me to make the steps. I'm gonna get some more thatch. So it is a bit of a grind. The multiplier on the server is pretty basic. Good thing about ARK, on the weekends they usually give you double resource gathering or double multiplier. So things are a little bit easier, but it's only for the weekend. Okay, I'm just gonna make these stone steps now. So it's nice that they got less engrams now. You can make 1 engram and it usually does multiple things. So the roof engram does steps, it does ramps, it does like 3 or 4 different things. You just press E or R to move across, and you can just choose what you want. So I've replaced my wooden steps with stone steps. So I've got some skills I still need to learn. I haven't learned how to make the flak helmet, so I do need to learn that real quick. Okay, so I know the full set now. Now I can actually build it. I just need to have the materials as well. So that wouldn't have been enough time to melt down all of the raw metal, but it should be enough for me to build at least the boots. Let's just build the flat boots. You just go under armor, go on the metal, and then you can see where you can build the boots. It'll tell you what materials you need, and just hit craft, and that's pretty much it. So the system in ARK is pretty self-explanatory. They've added a lot of quality of life things now. So if you put wood in the furnace, it will tell you how many hours or minutes or seconds you'll get out of that fuel, where that wasn't really something they did before. You can add waypoints which show up in the world now, so where you can see your base and things like that. You can disable them as well, but it's useful when you're in the dark or you just need to know what direction to head to your base. So I always keep my base waypoint available. It just helps me navigate the world a little bit. Okay, so I need to wait for this raw metal to melt down into iron ingots. So I'm just going to show you a little bit more of the world. One of the best things about this online experience that I've noticed compared to the original is that there's hardly any rubber banding anymore. So sometimes when your ping was too high, you would have to wait for the server to catch up. My ping on this server is around 58 or 54, so it's actually pretty reasonable. With around 50 to 60 people on the server at the moment, with no rubber banding, as you can see, the server is playing real smooth. It's actually a much better experience than it was previously. So some of the things are improved, not everything, but you just bump into so many people now, as you can see. Ran into someone else. If you're wondering what this massive dinosaur is, it's called the Titanosaurus. It's basically like one of the biggest dinos in the game. Some random wild Rex over there. I might have to try and tame that at some point. But yeah, just the visual upgrade in this game is insane. It just looks so much better. Even now that it's raining, you can see that the ground starts to get darker. There's wet textures for pretty much everything. You can see that the stone is completely wet now. And I'm not saying they didn't have this before, but it just looks a lot better than it did. But yeah, the visual upgrade is considerable. It's such a better looking game now. I know the visuals come at a cost, but it certainly is worth it. Just the difference in shading and lighting really makes it feel like a living world now. This is definitely a game for future hardware, it has to be said. But just look at the draw distance as well. There's less popping now as well. So the server certainly performs better than the previous official servers. I'm gonna just close everything up now, so that should be enough time for the metal to have melted down. As you can see, got 19 metal ingots out of that. But anytime you get raw metal, you get half of that once it's melted down. So I should be able to build the gauntlet and the helmet now, and then that is the complete set of the flak armor. Okay, I'm going to show you what this looks like. And the actual sound of the way you walk changes, because now it's kind of showing, well, it's just mirroring the materials that you're wearing. So that's a nice touch. This is something they did in the original, but it just wasn't as pronounced. Wasn't as obvious. But they've retooled some of the sounds as well, and you don't have to have your helmet showing. You can just go into emotes and disable or hide your helmet, but you still get all the stats of the protection. But that is pretty much it for me, guys. Just want to show you some online performance. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.